Hey folks, how's it going? So recently I moved into a new apartment and I found that I needed a new lamp. I didn't want to buy one and I had some spare time, so I thought I'd make this. And again, because there's not much going on currently, I thought I'd bring you along for the ride and show you how I did this, and then hopefully show you where you can avoid some of the mistakes I made while building this lamp. And with that, let's get going. You'll need an extension cord, a wooden block to use as the base, a half-inch pipe flange, 4 appropriately sized machine screws, one 4-inch nipple, one pipe valve, one 3-inch nipple, two 90-degree elbows, one 2-inch nipple, a lamp socket, and a squirrel cage style light bulb. After purchasing the materials, the first build step of the project is to roughly center the pipe flange in the correct location and orientation. I chose to do it slightly closer to one side because my wood block has a side that needs to be sanded down further in order to make it smooth for the final lamp. Following this, scribe an outline with a pencil so the flange can be placed in the same location each time in the future for when you need to, mark additional bolt holes or mark the center point. Taking a square against the flat side of your piece of wood, draw a line to cut the piece of wood down to length. You can see here why I made the flange slightly off center, as this side will need to be sanded down smooth in order to look good on the completed lamp. After the pipe flange and lamp location was roughed out on the piece of wood, I transferred the piece of wood down to my work table and thoroughly clamped it down to keep it from moving. I placed my cut with the saw a fair distance away from the line which represented the actual end of the wooden block for the finalized lamp. I did this because I was using a handsaw, and leaving an extra centimeter would allow me substantial room to sand down the block of wood after the cut was made and make sure all of the edges are perpendicular to one another and perfectly smooth. If you don't have a belt sander, as I'll show in the next clip, it probably makes sense to spend more time on your cut here, so you can spend less time sanding down the edge in the future. After the block of wood was cut down to length, I brought the piece of wood out to the belt sander, where I could use the angle guide attachment to sand all the sides down and make sure they're all smooth and completely square. If you don't have a belt sander, this can be done with sandpaper, a rasp, and a whole bunch of time. However, it would likely be best in that case, as I said before, if you're more careful and precise with your initial length cut, as it will save you a whole lot of time in the long run. And here you can see me doing another one of those mistakes that I talked about earlier. By running the belt sander against the grain of the wood, I caused a large chip to break free, which damaged the overall piece. Moral of the story, don't rush while you're trying to sand stuff and just take your time and be gentle. We then bring the wood over to the drill press to drill the hole that the electrical cord will run through. Here, I will once again stress the importance of clamping down your piece. I recommend clamping in a minimum of 2 locations to both prevent any unwanted rotation and to minimize pressure on the piece at any given clamping point. Once you get the piece perfectly aligned with the center of the pipe flange location, give it a shake to see if your clamps are too loose and realize you completely forgot to tighten the drill press table height adjustment clamp. Tighten that up to prevent movement and prep for the second attempt by once again clamping and aligning your piece. Then install a drill bit about half the size of the final hole and drill a pilot hole halfway through the wood in the desired center location. Then switch out the drill bit to the large size that you're going to use for the final hole. I chose 1/2 inch because the extension cord that I wanted to use had a diameter of 0.3 inches at its widest location, and I wanted plenty of room to fish the cord through once I was done. Take this drill bit and once again drill halfway through the piece of wood. Because we want the cord to run out the back of the finished lamp, we need to drill a hole in the side of the piece of wood. I intend to orient the lamp with the long side perpendicular to the room, so the hole I need will be drilled into said long side. To do this, turn the piece of wood onto its side and line up the drill press bit with the center 1/2 inch hole that was drilled earlier. You may want to use a square to do this, as it needs to be placed fairly precisely. Ensure the drill press bit is in the mid-plane with respect to the thickness of the piece of wood, and tightly clamp it down so the piece of wood won't move. Install a 3/8 inch drill bit into the chuck and drill down until the drill press bit can be seen passing into the center hole. The final step that needs to be done to the wood block to prepare it for use as a lamp base is to drill some pilot holes for the screws which will hold the pipe flange in place. Choose a drill bit roughly the size of the screw you're using without the threads, and, using a piece of tape, mark the length of the screw on the drill bit. Use this bit in a hand drill and drill down to the depth of the tape mark in each of the flange mounting hole locations. This will make it much easier to screw the flange into place once the assembly begins. So this is the part of the video where I would love to show how to take something like this, the valve that we purchased earlier, and turn it into a rotary switch to turn the lamp on and off. However, I made the choice of buying half-inch pieces, as I mentioned earlier, and unfortunately, even with as much modification as I can possibly do without creating a fire hazard, there is no way to fit this into this form factor. So if you want to use this as a switch, I don't know, either find some other kind of rotary switch that you can use, or go for probably 3/4 inch or 1 inch diameter piping. That's mistake number 2 for you folks wanting to build this at home. So despite the mess with the switch, we're just going to keep on going because I don't want to wait 3 weeks for a different switch to come in, and I also don't want to start the project over again from scratch. On the bright side, the lamp socket we bought has a switch built in, so we'll use this for now, and maybe I'll come back to this another time. Moving on, the first step in the assembly phase of the lamp is to take the extension cord and grab a pair of wire cutters. Cut the female end of the extension cord off and route the cable through the holes that were drilled into the wood base. After routing the cable through the base, thread the center of the pipe flange onto the extension cord. Line the outer diameter of the pipe flange up with the flange outline we drew earlier, and then rotate it until the mounting holes line up with the pilot holes we pre-drilled in the last step. Screw the flange in until it is held secure, and grab the remaining pipe components and begin attaching them to the flange, starting with the 4-inch nipple, followed by the valve, then the 3-inch nipple, a 90-degree bend. Make sure to pull the wire through after it's rotated into its final location, the 2-inch nipple, and finally the last 90-degree bend. The final step in the build is to wire up and install the lamp socket. This is the part that needs to be approached most carefully, as poor wiring could result in a fire or electrical shock hazard. The socket kit you purchased should have an instruction manual detailing how to properly wire it, so be sure to follow those directions exactly when installing. To wire my kit, I first opened up the socket and removed the unit from the cardboard insulation. I then threaded the base of the socket onto the lamp. Reading the install directions, my kit said to strip the wires back 3/8 of an inch and wire the ribbed neutral wire of the extension cord to the silver terminal and the positive wire to the gold terminal. This was done by wrapping the bare wires clockwise between the terminal screw and the metal clamping plate, and tightening them down with a screwdriver. After this, the lamp socket can be reassembled as the instructions dictate and be glued into place. And with that, you've built your very own pipe lamp. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video and hopefully following along. This is sort of my first kick at the can at making YouTube videos, so if there's anything you saw in this that you don't think is very good, let me know in the comments and I'll try to make the next one a little better. And well, yeah, with that, have a good day, everybody.